Hello, welcome back to another episode of D54. I'm Amit, joined by Melanie, joined by Kathy, to go back a few years and talk about Johnny Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we watched this movie recently. It's come to light because of Manjummel Boys, which has recently come out, making a lot of money, doing really well at the box office. I think this movie is doing it's gonna break some records. I think
I heard it was the biggest money, the biggest Malayalam film box office ever. Is that true? Someone mentioned
it's definitely of, I think, definitely of 2024. I think Manjummel Boys is as, and deservedly so. I haven't posted, I don't know when you're going to post this. I haven't posted my review yet, but I did go to see it a couple nights ago, and it's it's really tense. I mean, I didn't know the true story, so I was literally at the edge of my seat for quite a bit of the film because I didn't know who was going to live, who was going to die, what was going to happen. And so in somewhat similar way, Johnny Man also has just kind of a huge cast of characters because the Manjummel Boys is based on a real big group of guys that went on this tourist trip together. And sort of similarly, I felt like, wow, this cast was so big at Johnny Man. I mean, we start crazy with just Basil Joseph moping his way through the Canadian.
I loved that. I love the opening scene. I think is one of my favorite things in it because I love a fish out of water, and he clearly was. But I love just wah, wah. He's in his real, and why he had the windows open in the middle.
Okay, that was just what I was going to say.
What is that?
You did not. I don't care if you're drying your laundry. You do not. When the weather report is saying it's like 10 below or whatever, you do not have your windows open.
No. So I loved him just sort of moping around, and he's cold and miserable. I thought that was really funny, and I thought that's what the movie's going to be. So I was kind of surprised when I picked up the movie. So I was like, oh, no, I like this part.
I mean, that was one just the beginnings of the fake outs of this movie is that we think, okay, Basil Joseph is the center of this film because we started with him and we spent so much time with him. No,
that's right. Nope.
not at all. He is just the catalyst that sets everything in motion. Right. And we get some hints as even the people in Canada kind of think he's annoying. But my friend Catherine pointed out that the first song in the film was a homage to a song from Manjo Varunja Pukal. So in which probably the audiences thought that was absolutely hilarious. It was just funny the way Basil Joseph was playing it, even if I didn't know it was a reference for an old song. Even when he's playing a jerk, he's so adorable. And
he's so adorable.
I just want to pinch his cheeks. I mean, he's just, I don't know. I just love him. Like, even when he's annoying.
He could beat his wife, and I'm still like, I'm on board with him. I don't know why.
He's done that.
He's done that. Literally, that's basically his star move.
And I did confirm it does say it is the largest Malayalam film ever and surpassed the 2018 Jude Anthony Joseph.
Wow, it passed 2018. Wow.
Past 2018, because that was a question I had. So that's impressive.
That's something that people are ready for this. They want to see it.
But anyway, Johnny Man was directorial debut, and I have to say, he had worked, with some other famous directors, but that was his directorial debut. And so then this blockbuster film that's just come out is only his second film. And let me just say, the first film, I definitely had this vibe in the middle of it because then I was Googling, I'm like, oh yeah, directorial debut. I mean, because I just kind of felt like some of the stuff could have been tightened up. It was just kind of all over the place and sometimes. And I'm like, what is our focus here? Laser focus. Manjummel Boys. I mean,
second one.
Tense survival thriller. Yes, sets up the intense bond of the friendships before we get to the main action of the film. But that was kind of my, my issue with Johnny Man is that I was along for the ride, but I was kind of like, where are we going? Like everything just kind of meandered, and you kind of were like, okay, this intense thing is going to happen. And then we're over here. And then and it was kind of showing us the chaos of this life on this street, that these two things could be happening, that somebody could be having a birthday party with fireworks, literally across the street from someone that's just had a death in their family.
Yeah.
And and dealing with all this tragedy, and that all these things can be happening. And then we find out all of the rivalries between the two families. Yeah, it was a lot.
And I didn't really understand like what we were supposed to be rooting for or wanting these characters to do. Like I didn't really understand like what is the culmination? Where is this headed? Like what are the stakes? And I didn't really get that like, oh, I hope this happens. I hope this happens. I'm kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm supposed to even care. But I mean, I liked all the characters. I feel like they were teeny bit underwritten. There were some characters like, I had a little difficulty just even understanding who they were. But overall, I thought the concept of like the frat boys across the street having the party and then, setting off fireworks at the worst time and then the funeral across the street would still seem like a little contrived, but also kind of funny. So I was kind of enjoying that. But Basil stuff, I don't know, so funny.
Yeah. No, there's a lot to sort of I guess digest in this movie, because if you compare it to Manjummel Boys, one thing that I actually liked more in Johnny Man was the characters to me were more memorable. Because in Johnny Man, that one of the criticisms I had of that movie was I can't even tell you the names. I can't tell you really what the characters were doing. They were just like one group. It was like a bunch of friends.
They were the boys.
Like I knew Shobhan Sahia and I knew Srinath Basi, but honestly, I knew them more because of who they were as actors.
Right.
Like more because of that. But the other characters, like, I didn't really get much of a sense of that. In this movie, everyone had a specific role or specific quirk. Arjun Ashokan had a sort of character he was playing.
Yes.
Then you had obviously Basil Joseph. He had a lot of storyline to him. You had like the dermatologist who was like a friend who was dealing with this whole situation. You had the other like TV actor, so everyone had something. You could just.
I liked that running joke that they kept going. Oh, you're that guy! Like that was.
I love that.
Even the funeral, that was a funny running joke.
And honestly, aside from the start scene, I would have liked to see more of that TV serial because
I know it's so insane looking.
It was definitely a stand-up. I like how he used it. Like they used it to distract people. Go in there and be yourself.
Yeah. But the way they showed it, he was just shooting down like a child, and they never go back to it. I'm like, this is so crazy. But it's I haven't seen like a drama, like a soap opera being played in a movie before, so that itself
it was very funny,
pretty unique. But I guess in terms of like, you can tell this is a directorial debut because it is I mean, the budget must be so small for this one. It's literally two houses. There's nothing more.
Right next to each other.
That's really all it is.
They did have Canada. They had Canada.
Oh yeah, they had a small 5
wherever
that was.
One location shoot. Yep.
Yeah. And honestly, that's one part that like I did, as you guys sort of mentioned, I sort of also like that sort of introduction scene a lot. I liked it a lot because it was just, it's not the kind of scene that I think Basil he excels in that kind of role. That kind of black.
He doesn't even need anybody else in the scene with him. He can completely carry the comedy just by his own self. Like he really totally can.
It was very cute.
And I think even just as a thematic point, I think that's what the movie was trying to strive to be talking about, because like he is somebody that is completely lonely, and I guess that's what the theme is trying to talk about, like life in terms of where you are and how important it is to celebrate moments versus a funeral and how important it is to respect that. They did a lot of good stuff with that.
I think it was a lot about how you need community, like you need people around you. And the son of the dead man had cut himself off and with a feud with his father. Because of the life of crime or whatever that he's trying to live. But just how painful that can be to be ostracized from your family, because then when in a big event, something like that happens and you don't know where's my place. Should I be here? Should I not be here? Like he was even, when they were gathering for the funeral, he was setting himself off to the side, not joining in with the family unless he was kind of forced to. And I think one of my favorite scenes is when Basil Joseph comes over and is like, "Why are you here by yourself?" I felt lonely. Like this whole talk that he gave, admitting that he was taking medication for depression, and just you could see the son of the dead guy going, "Wow, I can't believe this guy is telling me all these things." But like they really had this moment of connection. And again, it's like Basil Joseph had been so annoying for most of the movie, and then he pulls it out.
He does.
He pulls it out when with this scene, and you're just like, yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah,
so good.
That's a good scene. That was a really good scene. I quite enjoyed that. I mean, honestly, I enjoyed a lot of this movie for it's one of if it's not the comedy, just the quirkiness of it, and also the balancing of the sort of genres that they're doing with these two houses really is kind of disorientates you a little bit because you're at one stage, and I guess even when he's at the birthday party, it's not like a really happy, like, life of the party kind of birthday party. There's a sadness to it because he's so lonely, and you can tell he's trying to put on a show, trying to put on an act that he's,
Yes, it felt very forced. Like,
I mean, when he's, I mean, I'm forgetting all the characters' name, but again, when he says, "I'm lonely too," I invited everyone I know to my birthday party, and 5 people came.
That's everyone's fear. That's why I don't throw parties.
So and I also, as I was watching it, there was a phone call, and I'm like, that's lol. Like, I hadn't even looked up who was in the movie.
That's right.
And that voice. So the brother, the brother of the man who dies, is played by Lal, one of my favorite actors in Malayalam cinema. It's such a distinctive, deep voice.
That
and then
his
son is in Manjummel Boys. So I was just like, Lal Jr. But anyway, I mean, Lal is just great and anything, but kind of just that exasperated fluster. I'm trying to do the right thing, and everybody's, being crazy. Like, he just excels at that. He was totally in his element, trying to wrangle this family together, trying to convince the dead man's son, trying to convince his nephew. Yeah, you need to be part of this family. You need to do these things, right? And trying to draw him back in.
Yeah. And I liked how you're talking about the two houses felt like two different movies almost, because you had the lighting and the editing was faster, brighter, a little bit more energy in the frat house. So just in general, like quicker cuts and a little more camera work. And then in the funeral side, everything was kind of dim and dark, and the takes were kind of long.
I mean, literally, I was having, like you were having a hard time seeing.
Why did they turn the light on?
Like, wait, who's talking to each other outside? Like, it was very difficult to kind of make out who was talking to who at certain points in the movie.
So the whole stylistic shift was really like virtuoso, experiment, which I really appreciated. As a filmmaker, who's trying to make his mark, it's smart to do kind of 2 films in one film. So that was a really unique little aspect of this movie that I enjoyed.
Definitely. No, that was really good. But Lal in particular, I think, was pretty fantastic. Aside from I think he was probably the main sort of star. Because if it is 2 movies and they're kind of the 2 leads in sort of both houses. And I guess what I really liked about Lal was the fact that when he comes over to the other house, he completely transforms after he sees a TV actor. Which is, I mean... Yeah.
It was like he's like, I gotta talk to you guys. Oh, who are you?
It just transforms the entire movie. But again, there is some commentary behind that. It's sort of how we sort of react when we see somebody quote unquote famous sort of in the other room, and then we sort of give up all the stuff that we were talking about before, like, okay, come to our place now, and then come and party with us, a funeral, but have a few drinks with us now, like, forget all this.
Celebrity, that's open doors.
I mean, there was a cultural disconnect for me also, because I was just like, why are all of these people just there late into the night? I was like, are they having to have a vigil literally the entire night with the body? Like, I was unclear on, does everybody have to be there that entire night until the priest or whatever they're going to do in the morning? Like, I wasn't clear on the customs. It's sort of what I was gathering, but I was like, did that just have to be immediate family? It just seemed like everybody was supposed to be in their yard. Another character that I really liked was the guy who was the party planner equipment guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like, literally, he had to keep going back and forth. And he's like, we're going to order more chairs. We're going to need these. We need lights. We need generators, whatever. Like, he obviously, he has to code switch and go from, these kind of events, from happy, from sad in the same day. And he was used to it. Everybody else could not flip that well, but he was just like, okay, we got to get this for over here. We got to get the cake. What do you do? Deliver the cake to the wrong place?
What? I know, that was very cute. That was very cute.
But I loved him because
right? I mean, remember at the end, right? He did something and the cape was out. That was like, okay, well, he's the hero in all this.
It was very cute. It was very cute.
Even to add to the comedy, his name is Akshay Kumar. just
Kumar. That's it.
That's what he's billed as. Yep, just is that. And
That's really
I think
funny.
the way he met Doraemon, his Basil this character was through just Facebook event planning. That's the other crazy part about this movie, how this whole party takes place. It's set, he has a party at Arjun Ashokan's house, who doesn't even want him at the house, who doesn't even like him. You know, and he's sort of forcing him to do this. And then I guess as things change, you know, he also changes because the female character comes in and he's like, oh, okay, well,
that's he gets girls. Okay.
That's another hilarious scene where he's ready to kick everybody out, and then he sees her and he's like, oh, okay, wow.
Former classmate that he had a crush on, then he goes, when he changes his shirt, and all of his friends are like,
so cute. Very funny.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It had moments for sure.
Yeah, I mean, looking back on it, it definitely had a lot to like. I think it is a kind of movie, as you guys sort of mentioned, it is one that you don't have a clear direction going in as to what's going to happen, because I think the first scene sets up a little bit as what this movie is going to be about, but it takes a while to really get to that message, which really comes basically towards, I don't know, the last half an hour with sort of Basil Joseph's little spiel on basically his loneliness. But I do think, like, in terms of like so the one thing you mentioned about the cultural references with the I guess the ceremonies behind the funeral, I'm not even sure myself. It's like, I think it's a Christian death. I'm not exactly sure what they do. At that place, guys, in the comments, if you know, you guys are great at that, just let us know in the comments. But I did sort of like how, like, this theme about that loneliness, because I know in Kerala it's a pretty big thing for people to, you know, venture out of Kerala to other places like the Gulf or places like Canada or America or the UK or Australia, somewhere like that. So it is a pretty big thing for people to be like lonely and sort of in a place, especially. I liked it because the scenes in Canada, they highlighted his isolation, not just, you know, I guess in a community, but also just physically. There was literally no one around him. Like, he was just by himself, and it was pretty heartbreaking to see him talking with his mother, and her mother's like, "Why are you calling me at this time?" And he's just like crying, saying, "Please don't hang up. Please don't hang up."
Right? And she's like, "It's 2 a.m, you know."
Yeah, exactly. Why are you calling me at this time? I was like, "Oh my god!" So it is something that there is something there with, I think, especially with, I don't know if it's just men, but men leaving at that time in their like mid-30s-ish, something like that. There is something like that loneliness that happens quite a bit to men in general. So I like that it sort of approached that topic. And I think it did a pretty good job of highlighting that in sort of that scene at the I guess that one scene at the end. But there is another sort of thing that we didn't talk about, the sort of twist and climax, which we can look to sort of wrap up. They had that sort of twist at the end which I did not see coming. I had to rewind that a few times to actually understand what the heck was going on. That there was this other sort of love affair going on between the neighbors and things like that.
I didn't even know.
Okay, so I mean, this is a thing where when you told me this title, because I didn't catch this movie in theaters, I just watched it, and I was thinking of there's a Salman Khan movie, 2006 or whatever, and I was like, wait, there's another one called Chidambaram? Like, I didn't even know, and it means beloved in Hindi, or like, you know, and so they named the baby Johnnyman, you know, but I have a feeling that there's some wordplay there in the Malayalam, which I literally was trying to look it up. So please, viewers, let us know what was the wordplay here, because with the periods in between, like what were they playing with here? Because obviously they were, and then, you know, so it's that the man who died had gone to, you know, he was serving the army in some place where it was Hindi speaking or whatever. And then, so he couldn't marry the girl, but then they moved across the street from each other. That's the reason why these two families were where they were, which is what they learn at the end. And there's been all these feuds, and then they come to realize this secret when the two elderly people die, which is almost like that poetic thing, like their souls are tied, and then when one left, the other one leaves. You know, I mean, it's just it's almost romantic and poetic. And then they bury them together on the land that he had bought for them, and then they named the little baby Johnny Munn. So, but there has to be more to it, and no review or anything that I read really explained it. It was sort of like it just assumed that you would know. I don't know. Please explain it to me.
We don't know.
Because I want to know.
What does it mean? I know exactly.
Anyway.
I'm not sure what the wordplay there, but I did sort of like how that sort of unfolded as well, because it starts off like, oh wait, there's something nefarious happening here. Did he have an affair? And he has like a child that's there.
Yep.
And Basil Joseph's there to sort of, I guess put wood on the fire or something, or put gasoline on the fire. So sort of be like, okay, cool. Now all the secrets coming out. There's also the sense of tension with this other like crazy character. I'm not sure who he was. The friend of the friend,
the minion, the minion,
yes, the minion.
The minion of the crime boss, the crime boss son, right. And then he's like, "What are you crazy? Get out of here!" Like, and just showing that he's like, "This is not the time or place for you." Like he just like. They're assaulting you. I had to start a fight.
Yeah, which again goes to sort of the same point I sort of mentioned early on about how this movie has very well-defined characters compared to Manjummel Boys, I feel like. Because even like that's a side character, but I remember him because of what he did. Whereas I can't
even
say
the party planner guy, I distinctly remember.
Oh,
that's true.
I mean, so I sort of, there were so many twists where there could have been, I mean, yes, there were fights, but literally there were scenes where I was like in the middle. I'm like, okay, somebody's going to die now. I literally thought anything could have happened.
Yeah.
That was kind of the feeling of that movie. Like there was a lot of comedy, but also extremely tense moments where you're like, literally anything could happen right now. Yep, somebody could pull out a machete. Somebody could pull out a gun. Anything could happen because tensions were so extreme and just.
Yeah. That's true. But I mean, I think that was sort of interesting and cool about the movie, but also I think a problem with the movie is I feel like it diluted the film because it didn't know what it wanted to be. Yeah. So I wasn't sure, like, am I supposed to be laughing? What's happening now? Like, I felt a little jerked back and forth by the movie. And then I felt like they had so many characters. They stood out, but so many characters, I feel like they could have diluted it a little bit, I think, by, getting away from the main story and having all these little quick again, like you said, it felt like the first person's film, like I'm put everything in it and no, I can do anything, so I enjoyed it, but it was a little convoluted overall tonally.
No, that's definitely true. I think that really affected sort of the pacing of the movie. I felt like, because it felt like we'd be lost at sometimes, because like, okay, I want to spend more time with Basil Joseph and understand what he's doing, but it's kind of not talked about that for half an hour now. So what happened to that story? And then, oh wait, there's this other crime boss, like what's his story and his friend, and then there's another like sub crime boss who has like a friend who's like saying that I'm not going to leave here, and he goes to the other house and he causes mischief. And
like, I mean, it would have been enough if it was just Arjun Ashokan and his beef with the son of the dead guy. If like you had just had that's tension alone without adding all of these other minion, people starting their own fights, like it would have that would have been enough tension, because we get that especially at the very end.
Definitely.
I sometimes feel like a director like this who's not well versed in filmmaking yet, which he's very much a talent to be watched, but it feels like there's not a ton of confidence in the story. He's afraid the audience will get bored, so let's just throw a bunch more stuff in here, and just in case anyone gets bored, and I don't want anybody to think that this movie's too slow. Whereas I would appreciate more of a cat and mouse, more of a distinctive sort of black comedy, the feud between the two. That's enough. It worked, you guys. It was working. And when they would tear away from that storyline, go to this other weird one, I was like, what is happening? So, but I appreciate all of those things. At the same time, I would like to have seen the movie sort of leaned out a little bit and just be like really character driven and less circumstance driven, a lot of multiple parts going. But I did find it was fun. And you can tell the guy knows how to make a film. So I'm like, So I'm very excited to see it.
Definitely.
I mean, he definitely has a lot of creative ideas. Yes. I think really take your point, Amit, about, because now that I think about it, you're right. You're crippled a little bit by the fact that you're writing a story about contemporary people who are still alive and who have let you tell their story, but then you may not have been able to take license and be more colorful with their story, right? So I'm really going to be interested in this director's third film, right? Because he's learned focus, right? Like he really learned how to create tension on film in Manjummel Boys, and he created incredible characters in Johnny Man. So let's see what the third film is going to be. Because since this is such a blockbuster, like they're going to give him money hand over fist to make the next movie.
So many offers right now.
So I'm going to be, I mean, he does work well with large group of actors. Like if we can bring focus, but also incredible characters in this and the next film. It's gonna be gangbusters. Like I can't wait to see what he'll do.
Yeah, I mean, I am looking forward to his film, so that's he's doing his job.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like it is a talent to pull together a whole lot of characters together and actually make it work. So I do sort of give him a lot of credit for taking that path, because it's a great point you make, Kathy, about the whole it's your debut movie. How are you going to approach this? How much do you want to do in this? Like, this felt like it was a little bit over. It felt like he tried to do a lot, but I mean, in fairness, this movie was also a really big hit. So this wasn't a flop or anything like that. It was critically acclaimed. It was people enjoyed it. So it's not like it was, and I think deservingly so. It definitely deserved.
It was a great debut. Yeah, definitely.
Definitely wasn't a bad movie. And, especially, I mean, look at, again, if you see the cast members, the biggest name in this movie is Basil Joseph, who's a director. And this is an early Basil Joseph movie. It's not even like one where he's established himself where he is sort of now. So that itself, Arjuna Shokan, I guess, there's a few actors, but
you have Lal. You have Lal. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
That's true.
No, exactly. That's true. You have a few.
The man with the voice.
I guess it's Manjummel Boys, at least from maybe it's my perception, but Sobin seemed like a bit bigger of a star just because of maybe recency with some of the stuff he's done as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I should look up, because it's funny with just mentioning Sobin there, because I feel like this movie has a bit of there's a bit of carryover between this movie and I think Roman Chan, which sort of also did a similar thing with a lot of characters. That was also his first movie. Roman Chan was the first movie of the director, and he has another movie coming out, Fahad Fasil, coming out soon.
Wow.
So, that's how we've been seeing that one soon. We've been seeing that one in the trailers and the songs and stuff like that. So there is something about this sort of big cast, big characters, put together a story and do it well. I think Roman Chan does it a little bit better than what Johnny One did, which also is represented for the box office too. So there is a formula to make that work. But as sort of you guys sort of mentioned, I'd love to see his sort of next film, because if he does something that's more fiction, that's more fiction based, because yes, you're right, Manjummel Boys had the whole it's a true story, so we can't just show something that didn't happen. Like we can't take that much creative
or we can't create some backstory for somebody that then everybody would say that wasn't what they were like, or whatever. Right.
Yeah. But really enjoyed it. I think I would definitely highly recommend it, despite it's having some issues with it. But overall, when I look back on this movie, I'm going to remember some of the comedy scenes that were there. I'm going to remember basically that monologue from Basil Joseph. I think that's a highlight for me, and probably the ending, like that sort of. It was really a nice poetic ending. I think at the end with the two lovers that could never be together, because it was something like I think he was like a soldier in like Bengal or something like that, and they couldn't get together, and therefore it was like
she had to get married.
Her parents were forcing her to have an arranged marriage. I
mean, it ended up what you're thinking is a big scandal ends up being very sweet. So I like that they didn't make it this big scandal. Like they made it like they diffused it, which was an interesting choice. Which I like that.
But even the two communities or the two houses basically that were at each other's throats with I think there's even a scene where they all like grab knives and they're going to go to their house and just like start chopping them up.
I mean, then it comes out like, I don't want your land. I don't want the land either. Like they're finally realizing what are we fighting over?
Yeah, what do we have the knives for? Exactly.
But it's beautiful at the end because they both sort of come together and they're like, all right, fine. Death has actually brought these two, I guess, communities together, which is actually kind of beautiful, which is what the whole movie
it was death and birth that brought them together, right? Because it was, they were at each other's throat, and then the daughter of the man who died, from all the stress, she goes into labor. And then, Basil Joseph, again, you're adorable, but you're the worst nurse.
I know. Yeah, so I was thinking that.
Nurse ever. Like, you don't just say, I'm on vacation, I'm not going to deal with it when this woman is screaming.
I know. It's like, but you know what it is.
Okay, how many people died? Basil Joseph's character was on the spectrum, because I'm like,
I know.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's on the spectrum, but he definitely had like ADHD or something like that, because that was not normal there.
I mean,
like how much he needed attention.
He was so focused only on himself and really couldn't. And I'm like, how are you functioning as a nurse? Like, wow.
It's really weird.
No, definitely not. But I mean, you mentioned that baby thing. That there's another sub story within this, like massive story. Like they put so much into this movie in terms of how many. Like there's a main storyline kind of, and then there's all these sub stories branching off with like different sort of ways and stuff like that. There's so much going on. So
and it ties into what you were saying about how many people from Kerala are separated from their family.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
The whole reason why she's so completely stressed is she's been living with her father, but her husband is in the Gulf, and he can't get back for the funeral. And she just keeps saying, I can't deal with this by myself. I can't. I mean, and she's making herself ill. We didn't mention, but another one of the beautiful moments was when the actor who's playing the dermatologist doctor is like, okay, her blood pressure is high. She needs to eat something, you know, because he could just tell, have you eaten anything? She needs to eat something with salt or whatever. And he forces her brother to feed her. And and it was just like, you know, again, you're in a community and a community kind of forces you together like that. And obviously they had been very estranged, and that was a really beautiful moment in the film as well.
Yeah,
it was. Because I saw the pregnant woman, and I'm like, watch, okay, when are they going to use this device?
When is she going to pop?
Yeah, really. TikTok.
And again, just another, like, the whole sibling relationship was another big part of this movie, which we didn't even cover because there's so much in this movie.
Too many notes.
Yeah, they really. I think they.
The Amadeus.
Amadeus.
But this was a lot of fun. Thanks, Melanie. Thanks, Kathy, for having this conversation.
I'm really glad that you recommended that I catch up with this film, because I mean, it's definitely worth seeing, especially now that, I mean, I think I probably would have enjoyed it more in a theater when I had other people laughing around me, right? Yeah. So, but definitely one to watch, and this director is one to watch in the future.
Yes, super talented.
Definitely. No, this was a really nice conversation, really great conversation for a really good movie. And thanks to everyone that basically mentioned this movie in my Manjummel Boys review, because that's what people talked about a lot. Like, you got to check out his previous movie, and that's sort of how we're doing this. So
that's what we do.
Yeah. But make sure to check out Paradesi Reviews on Melanie's channel. Make sure to check out Kathy's channel, Cinemundo. You'll see us all there. And I review Malayalam movies, and obviously Melanie and Kathy review from everywhere. So check them out, and you'll be seeing me there. You'll be seeing Kathy on Melanie's channel, Melanie on Kathy's channel, you know, the whole thing. So
we're having a blast doing it. I hope you are too.
It's a lot of fun. But until the next one, everyone.
All right.